Welcome again to the Virtual Fraser Museum. My name is Tony, and I have been thinking about history around us. And normally you see I'm outside doing things, but it has been raining, and so I thought maybe I would focus on something inside the house. Perhaps the most dangerous section in your house, that is the stairs. Now you'll notice there's a lot of light here, and that's because my stairs are directly next to a window, which is good in that I can see the steps a little better during the day without, there's my cat, without additional light. But lighting of stairs was not always the case in history. That was not always a priority. The earliest stairs that I could find that had ever been discovered were located in a mine shaft in Austria hundreds of years ago, long before electricity was invented or discovered. I don't know if you can imagine without electricity. Maybe they had small torches or something on the walls, but how dangerous that must have been with the flickering shadows as you descended a staircase into a mine. I could not find in my research definitively when the very first staircase was built. No one knows. In fact, I doubt you could find anyone who could absolutely say when that was. But I did find some fascinating stories and interesting things to share with you about stairs, the most dangerous section perhaps in your house.
Thomas Jefferson was actively designing and building Monticello, that's his home in Albemarle County, Virginia, for decades. He was the principal architect and designer of it, and was quoted as saying that putting up and pulling down was one of his favorite amusements. Perhaps that's why it took so long. Apparently, architecture for Jefferson was both a hobby and a mathematical exercise. Sometimes he would provide measurements on the plans with an accuracy that simply could not be measured, thousandths and sometimes millionths of an inch. Monticello was 3 stories, although the design was intended to make it look just like one. And so, perhaps we should ask, how did someone move between these floors? How did Jefferson feel about stairs? Well, it seems he found them to take up too much space. Maybe they were waste space. He designed stairs that were narrow, steep, and dark. Dangerous, really. One staircase that he built was only 2 feet wide and so cramped that it would have been difficult to take anything up the stairs with you. Anything larger than perhaps a small suitcase or satchel would have had to have been winched up to the 2nd level and likely brought in the window. The danger of stairs is not only connected with how visible they are, but also how regular they are. The rise and the tread of steps must all be the same, or so very nearly the same that your body won't notice the difference. I'm sure all of us have had a moment where we tripped on what appeared to be the smallest thing, and that's likely because you have a muscle memory. Your body does just enough work to get you where you're going, and not much more. It's you being efficient. Your feet don't travel very far above the ground, and the same is true with steps. Now, there's a rhythm when you walk up steps, and your body expects for the steps to occur in a regular interval. If one step is shorter or higher, you'll likely stumble. Now, what that perfect ratio of rise to tread should actually be has been the subject of study of many architects, including Frederick Law Olmsted. He designed many of our parks in Louisville, as you know. There are many examples of steps in all of his parks and the parks that his firm designed. And he spent years, literally years, making intricate measurements, trying to figure out what the best ratio was, how to make steps both comfortable and safe. And his years of measurements yielded formula like these.
I'm sure to all you mathematicians out there that equation makes sense. I don't get it. But at least Jefferson's stairs went somewhere, even if they were dangerous.
Sarah Winchester, who married William Winchester, the man whose patented rifle was used extensively in America and the West, put up an astonishing number of staircases in her house. It was built after both her daughter and husband had both died, 15 years apart from one another, and she had 40 separate staircases built. Now, the story goes that she was so distraught at losing her family that she consulted with mediums in an attempt to contact them in the beyond. One of these spiritual advisors claimed that Sarah had been cursed by all of those poor souls who had died at the dangerous end of Winchester rifles, and that the only way to appease them was to build a house for them. But according to the ghosts and the medium, the house must always be under construction. It could never be finished. Sarah spent enormous amounts of her inheritance building and tearing down. Some of those staircases led nowhere. They simply end at the ceiling. The house also includes doors that lead nowhere, and one that even opens from the second story to empty air.
It really is fascinating what you can find when you look a little deeper at the things that are around you. And I hope this has inspired you, perhaps, to do some research and look into some other items in your house, perhaps, or things you take for granted around you. But I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in person at the Fraser Museum. Thank you very much for tuning in. Be safe, be healthy at home, and we'll all get through this together. See ya.